welcome back to RuckTravels. Hope everyone's having a lovely festive period, lovely Christmas and a happy new year to follow. I am reporting to you live from Cancun in Mexico in the cheapest place I could find on Airbnb, which is essentially someone's house. If you can't already tell from the title, I'm finally revealing what happened to me on day one of this entire trip in Bogota, Colombia. But before we get started, as always, if you could leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel and ring the bells to be notified as soon as I release new videos. Now, if you cast your mind back, about 11-12 weeks ago, we flew from London and started our entire Latin America adventure in Bogota, Colombia. And then after a wholesome first day of hiking Monserrate and exploring the city, things went downhill very quickly. The very evening of our first day, a girl on Tinder invited me to go on a date. But there was a weird catch. Essentially, she wanted to bring her girlfriend, which, if you're a 24-year-old lad like me, single, travelling, no responsibility or commitment, you're probably thinking, dreamland, surely. But as the story unravels, you'll understand why this was probably, or well, not probably, definitely the most terrible date I've ever been on in my entire life. Now, I had various reservations, various doubts. I don't speak a word of Spanish. She didn't speak a word of English. So I knew it was sort of a recipe for disaster, but thought, you know what? I backed myself, I backed my confidence, and what can go wrong? Oh, how wrong I could be. Now, I actually took various precautions. I arrived where we agreed to meet. I brought Liam and Raman. They actually recorded me meeting them, recorded them getting out of the car.
We're following 20 paces behind to make sure that he's with her, but at the moment, to no avail.
And basically sort of signed off on me being safe. Now, one thing for me is I do get nervous in certain scenarios, but dates, typically I don't really get nervous. I don't know why, but this one I definitely was a little bit. It was very awkward. Basically had to rely on Google Translate to have any sort of conversation. It was very, very bland conversation. But after I had like 1 or 2 cans of beer, I started to feel a bit more at ease, a bit more confident, as did they, and it started to flow kind of in a mediocre fashion compared to how it started. Now obviously one of the key dynamics I mentioned at the start was that she was bringing her girlfriend. So I didn't really know whether I was going on a date with her, a date with her girlfriend, or both, or what was happening really. So it was a very strange dynamic from the get-go, admittedly. But I was like, you know what, I might as well sort of prod the question and ask, like, what the hell have I got myself into? And she was straight up. She was like, look, we're in a relationship, we want to experiment with a guy. And I'm like halfway through my beer, like, oh, okay, yeah, pretty good. Like, day one in Colombia, potential arrangement set up, you know, win-win, surely. Now, despite me having various mishaps in every trip I've been on, I've definitely got a very strong sixth sense. I can sense when there's red flags, danger, things are going wrong. But sadly, I didn't trust my gut enough, because in the first place, they basically said, oh, you know, it's going to close soon, so let's get a cab and we'll go to another bar, which is quite reasonable. It's good to keep it fresh, keep it interesting on a date. But that was actually the start of their very, very horrible plan. I'm in the cab, I know it's a bit sus, and I'm like, you know what, I don't really know where I am, I don't speak the language. Am I on the way to my almost certain death? Now granted, I didn't know where I was from the start, from the airport, from the hotel, anywhere, let alone after 1 or 2 beers, in a taxi, and then getting off somewhere else. But it turns out that we're in one of the most dangerous hoods in all of Bogota, which is pretty sketchy to say the least. And I could sense that from the off, because as soon as we got out the cab, there was homeless people everywhere, a few very, very, very dingy hotels, nothing was well lit. It basically was like a criminal's masterpiece. It was like criminal's heaven. It was absolutely perfect to get robbed. And their suggestion, as opposed to another bar, was basically, let's go to this hotel because everywhere's closing. In my mind, I had a little signal that was like, red flag, danger, you're going to die, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. But I did it. I went inside. So now, we're in this hotel. It's empty as far as I can tell. It's a massive hotel, really. It's on the street, but very big. No one in there that I could really sense or see. They were passing drinks through a hole in the wall. It was like it was built for criminals, so the vibe was definitely off, like, without a doubt. Anyway, I was like, you know what, like, feeling a bit nervous, so I'll have like 1 or 2 more beers to sort of calm myself down a bit. You know, just like little cans, like not big at all. By this point, I'd probably had the equivalent of about 2 pints, which I'm a lightweight, but 2 pints shouldn't really be putting me on like face down on the floor, should it? But after those 1 or 2 cans, I started feeling a little bit queasy, a little bit weird, not quite right, as though I was really ill, but definitely shouldn't have been. More alarm bells, but again, few beers in, confidence going up, as is my chances of dying. But eventually, I feel like me and my, well, dates plural, started to build some sort of rapport, some sort of connection, and conversation was flowing a little bit easier, I suppose. But all of a sudden, they seemed to have this really big disagreement, like heated discussion over nothing, and they were pointing at me and kind of like pointing back at each other, and I was just sort of sat there like, me no hablo español. I don't know. I have no clue what they're talking about. Regardless, their discussion sort of settled down a bit, and one of them basically said, look, I'm going home, help me get a taxi. And I'm Jen. I was like, of course, get a taxi, get home safe, and I'll probably do the same. But I made the fatal mistake of leaving the room without my phone, without my wallet. But when I got outside the hotel, I suddenly became very disorientated, very lost, very scared, very panicky, and couldn't find the girls at all. I thought that one was staying in the room and I was helping one get a taxi, but all of a sudden my vision became very blurry. I was very like I don't know what's going on here. I'm panicking. I've got no sense of direction when I'm sober, let alone when I've been drinking or been spiked or whatever. So really starting to seriously panic at this point. Obviously, you've got to remember, I'm in a dangerous neighbourhood outside a dangerous hotel on my own in a foreign country I've never been to with foreign language. And when I eventually found the hotel entrance, it was all locked up, all the windows are barred, no way of getting in whatsoever. There's security guards patrolling up and down the street, not helpful at all, very aggressive, very much like, F off, do one, you're not welcome here sort of thing. I was like begging and pleading with them, like, look, like my stuff's inside, I need to go in, like, can you please let me in? Obviously the girls are long gone at this point. Now obviously whatever's in my system at this point is taking effect. My memory's very wishy-washy, like I don't really remember the full thing. Maybe panic was setting in, causing some problems to do with that as well, but there was definitely something not right with how I felt. But eventually I either negotiated with the security guard to let me into the hotel, or I snuck in, or I ran in. I don't know how I got back in, but eventually I did. Found the room that I was staying in or visiting. And if you hadn't guessed it already, in the room, what's there? Nothing. Not even the cans of beer that I drank were left there. Phone, wallet, all gone. I was literally like, oh my god, I'm done for. It's so typical, man. I quit my job, sell my car, come travelling to start a YouTube channel requiring two things: a working phone to film and access to money so that I can actually travel. And they're gone in less than 24 hours of me leaving the country. So, great work. And eventually, I don't know how, I don't know whether I got a cab, an Uber, or someone dropped me home, but I eventually got back to my hotel on like the other side of, there's a lizard on the wall. But eventually I got back to my hotel on the other side of the city in one piece, and I barged through the door, like obviously in a mass sense of panic, and the boys said that I was acting really kind of weird and out of character, which is strange because I don't really remember or know how I was acting. Obviously I was so panicky, I'd had a couple of drinks, so I was probably a little bit off. So the assumption is that I was spiked. So after about an hour or two of brainstorming with the boys, we established that maybe, I don't know, the hotel was in on it because they sort of led me to the hotel, and the hotel gave me drinks and then kind of wouldn't let me back in again, so maybe the security team were on it. I don't know. If you've got any plausible theories as to why, how, or what even happened, then by all means leave it in the comments below. I'd be very interested to hear because it's almost quite a good conspiracy theory, really. My personal theory is that I'm a bit stupid and I'm way too horny for my own good. Being really horny at the best of times can get you in trouble, let alone in a country where you don't know anyone, you don't know the language. So that's my theory, but again, anything that you guys can suggest, I'd be very interested to hear. The next morning was hell. You know when you have a good dream and you wake up and you're like, oh, it's not real. Or the opposite, where you have a really bad dream and you wake up and you have that relief. I woke up and genuinely, swear to God, thought it was a bad dream. And I was like, roll over, check my phone. Oh wait, it's not there. Where is it? Oh, well at least I've got my wallet. Oh wait, no, that's gone too. Needless to say, day 2 of the Great Latin American Road Trip was spent in the British Embassy in Bogota, who I must give a shout out to for because they were fantastic. They gave me security clearance, they let me ring all my banks, they let me ring my mum, and eventually, after a very kind of tiring 2.5 weeks, we flew to California, and the angel sent from heaven, Aiden, was there with all of my bank cards. I went to an Apple store, bought a new phone, which is where this video is currently being recorded from. Obviously, not how I planned to get an upgrade on my phone. Was thinking about doing iUp next year, but if you ever want a really fast upgrade, watch this video, do exactly what I did in Bogota, and you have a new phone within about 2 weeks. Now, I must stress, despite this sounding very negative towards Colombia, I loved Colombia. The people, the country, everything we did and experienced was fantastic. I could not recommend it enough. It's definitely one of the more crazy, unique places I've been to and would go again and would advise you to go to as well. But I do have some takeaways for you regarding safety whilst in the Latin American country. Firstly, this is the lesson I've had to personally take away. Be careful with dating apps. It's very tempting when you go to a new place to say, yeah, you know, smash it all out, but please be safe. That goes for me as well. Stop being too horny from day one in a country you don't know very well. Secondly, always watch your drinks. I left my drinks at various points through the evening in the bar and the hotel, so I've probably presented multiple opportunities for them to put something in it if that's what they did. I don't know they did, but it makes me look better. I'd rather that be the theory, that I got spiked, and not just that I'm an idiot. Thirdly, when using dating apps, make sure to tell your friends exactly what you're doing, update them, location, people you're with, etc, etc, which I did do to start with, but then I thought things were fine about half an hour in, and I sort of said to the boys, go to sleep. Big mistake. Pictures of number plates, hotels, send you a live location on WhatsApp, whatever you can think of. And lastly, use common sense. I was far too trusting. As much as I do like to trust people and kind of give people the benefit of the doubt, I did have red flags, I did have alarm bells in my head, and I did think something was sus or off, so use common sense. But again, I must stress that I love Colombia. It's an amazing country, and coincidentally, one of the best things about Colombia was its people, their hospitality, their loveliness, their friendliness. Sadly, I was just very unfortunate at a very early stage in the trip, which definitely altered my mood for a couple of weeks, but I'd go back in a heartbeat, and I would definitely classify it as safe, providing you travel with vigilance and care, which I'd advise to any country in the world for anyone. But to summarise, I suppose if you're bored of me waffling for the last 10-15 minutes or so, I can sum this up for you in 2 sentences. I thought I was going on a threesome Tinder date in Colombia. I was far too horny and I lost everything I had. Now that was a bit of a heavy vlog, but hopefully you got some festive cheer and some festive laughs at my expense, and also hopefully I've taught you some valuable lessons. If you've enjoyed this vlog or the previous ones or want more in the future, then feel free to use my link tree in the description below, which is brand new, looks very professional. It's got all of my socials, email, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, you name it. And it also has my Buy Me a Coffee link. Buy Me a Coffee is a platform for small creators such as myself who don't have sponsors, aren't really big time or a big deal, and don't really have any hope of making it in the social media world. So it gives you guys an opportunity to contribute towards my travels by making donations the equivalent size of buying me a coffee. These funds can go towards travel essentials such as camera equipment, travel insurance, transport expenses. So again, if you like the video, like the content, like the video or buy me a coffee. And finally, I hope you all have a fantastic Christmas and New Year. On Saturday, on Christmas Day rather, I'm flying somewhere very important to meet someone very important, and that will be the next vlog. So make sure you stay tuned for that one and subscribe and turn on the bells so that you're notified as to when that video releases. But again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I hope we all have a fantastic 2022.